Hello everyone and welcome back to my classroom. I'm Professor Leo and today I'll be teaching about camera movement in a first-person game and about custom resources. Last video I forgot to do the camera movement part of our game, so to start off we're going to do that. So for our camera to properly move in first-person perspective, let's start by positioning it properly inside our player and making sure it's aligned with the front of the player. Okay, so for that, see, I have already a camera anchor, but it's not positioned in the right place. So check, it's already inside the player, so to start, let's try and match it to our player. Say for example, right about there. And try and do this. Let me remove the rotation. Right, and now it should be pointing in the right direction, which is the front of our player. If not, we can just make more adjustments, but for now let's see how it goes. Okay, now let's add a new action in our input manager. So we open the input manager itself, and the action we want to add is another vector3, but for our camera movement, which will be mapped to our mouse. Action vector3 camera movement, right? And then maybe add at the bottom here. Oh no, this is a different method that we are going to use. It's the unhandled input, this one here. And basically what we want is, first we need to make sure the event we are mapping is an input event mouse button so that we can capture it. Meaning that basically we are locking the mouse to inside our game instead of allowing it to basically move around all our screens. So that event is input event mouse button, right? Input.mouse mode equal input.mouse mode enum not captured. Right, so let me just comment this. Always make sure to comment your code so it's basically more recognizable what you're doing in that specific code block. Basically keep your code tidy. Now, else if that event dot is action pressed UI cancel. Basically, if we press escape or the button we currently have mapped to UI cancel, we want to basically unlock the mouse. So input.mouse mode equals input mouse mode enum dot invisible. Right? Okay, so now that we basically locked and unlocked the mouse, let's check if we are capturing the mouse so we can do the movement. If input mouse mode equals input dot mouse mode enum dot captured. Now we want to check if it's an input event mouse motion that we are using for our event. So if at event is input event mouse motion. Okay, now we want to basically get the X and Y of our mouse position so we can then map to our camera movement per se. So we can set our sensitivity of 0.1f mouse sensitivity, and then on camera movement dot invoke new vector3 motion dot relative x times our sensitivity, motion dot relative dot y times our sensitivity, and 0f. This can later be adjusted. We can even turn this into an option in our engine, basically. So we can just say do turn into an option paper on. Okay. And now we need to basically map this to the camera holder in order to use the movement itself. So let me go into here, into our camera anchor, create a new script. Let's call it camera anchor in the runtime folder. Let's export public node 3D camera. Basically, we want to also rotate the camera and the neck at the same time. So the neck is our camera anchor, which will rotate up and down. The camera will rotate to the sides. Basically, just to have that separation. When you are exporting a variable, you sometimes might not see it at first, so you might need to run the project and then you will see the export reference. Yeah, there it is. So now if I go into here, I'm going to assign it the camera 3D object, and now we should be able to, on the onReady function, I'm going to call input manager instance on camera movement that's equal and camera move. Now if I create method here, there we go. Let me rename this variable to so now what I want to do is rotate. I want to rotate y-axis on the current object, which is the camera anchor, and it's going to be camera movement dot x. I'm currently reading from my notes, so yeah, it can be a bit confused sometimes. Okay, and then the camera dot rotate x with the camera movement dot y. Okay, let's see if it works like this. If not, we can just reverse the two and see what's happening. Okay, as we can see, we can just move the camera properly. It's working fine. But let me check something. Let me reset my camera movement and let me walk in front and back. Yeah, in my case, it's basically inverted for when I'm walking in front and when I'm walking back, and most likely it's also inverted in the other way around. So what I want to do is basically on this one, I can change here the rotation to 180. Should be on this one, and here I can just basically call it like this, minus camera, and it should start working now. Let's check. So moving to the left, moving to my right, I'm walking in front. But since the player doesn't move as well, or meaning doesn't rotate, I'm basically rotating the camera to the back of my player, but I'm moving towards the front of the player, so it moves opposite to the direction I'm looking. This can be fixed later on, doesn't need to be fixed now. So let's move to the next phase of our lesson, which is the custom resources. So this was requested by a viewer a long time ago, and I'm going to explain it to my best knowledge. Custom resources are Godot's answer to store all sorts of data, with the caveat that they can be created from the new resource menu. This resembles Unity's scriptable objects for those that have played with the Unity editor, and in essence this can be a valuable tool for your games and can be used for storing information about each of your items, your characters, and much more. Right, let's create a new script and make it inherit resource. So I'm going to into here, new script. I'm going to call it an item, and it will inherit a resource. Okay, and that's done. Now let's open the script. And first we want to call it a global class in here by assigning the attribute. This basically allows Godot to recognize that this class is to be used globally in the editor. And let's have a simple value as an export. So let's export the name of the item. For example, old string name that, and that's done. Now let's run the game first, because of that bug I mentioned previously, where Godot doesn't recognize most of the changes in the export or in, for example, the creation of custom resources, and sometimes you need to reload the game in order for that to be detected. So in my resources folder, I'm going to create new resource and item. It's already here. I already searched it, and basically going to create, let's call it test item, and if I open it, it has a name, test item, and there we go. And basically that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, be sure to hit that like button and leave a comment down below with your ideas for a future lesson. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and activate notifications so you don't miss any future lessons. That's all for today. Leo signing out.